Hey there and welcome back to Don't Open That Door. Come along with our triumvirate of terror as we descend into darkness, hurtle into horror, and plunge into peril. If you've ever wondered why vampires can't see in the dark, you're in the right place. I'm Justin, and I would totally treat Celine to some bacon shark.
Am I allergic to shark? I can't remember. I'm Nico, and if you're ever feeling down on yourself, remember it's lycanthropy, not lycanthropy.
Ho ho!
This makes less sense once you realize that the next letter after can is T, but whatever. It's fine. It's fine.
Well, I'm Dan, and I thought it was werewolfism.
Well, we are here today to review Underworld Evolution, which is, of course, the second film in the series. This is starring Kate Beckinsale, pauses, as Celine, Scott Speedman as Michael, that one was a little faster, Michael Sheen as Lucian, Bill Nighy as Victor, Tony Curran as Marcus, and that's all we're naming here. So we open with a flashback where we get a recap of the first movie, and some scrolling text too. Then we are launched all the way back to the wonderful year of 1202, which for those of you keeping count is in fact in the past. All right, so here's the deal. There was a guy called Alexander
Wow.
Corvinus who had two sons. William was one of them, and he turned into like a turbo werewolf, can't control himself, and basically spread werewolfism throughout the land. Marcus, who was like maybe cooler, maybe not, and he's also the last surviving elder from Celine's clan in the first movie, which is in the future, which is in the past for me now, but it's in the future. Just trust me, you'll know. He turned into a vampire, and he has his crew of vampires hunt down some lycanthropes and kind of, mess him up. They find his brother, along with some other lycanthropes, and they kill the other guys, but Marcus is like, yo, don't hurt my brother. Well, the other vampire lords kind of obey, but at the same time, they know that Marcus is like way too soft on his brother, so they just imprison William in, and this is a quotation for this episode, a secret subterranean sarcophagus. So just bear that in mind. That's where they put that man. But for more on this, and more on the present, which is in fact the past, for me now,
Everything is really. We're all just moments in time, ephemeral, ever moving.
such transient gas.
So we then flash back to the present where unfortunately Justin is here, but Marcus awakes and murder death kills the rest of Celine's clan and then goes to find her. Where is she? Well, she's on the run with Michael, the only half vampire, half werewolf hybrid. Maybe? Question mark? Michael starts to deal with the fact that he's no longer human, and then he and Celine are immediately attacked by Marcus, who seems to want to take possession of a medallion that Celine and Michael took from the bad guy of the last movie. Our duo then escape, and I guess they were just having the endorphins pumping because they were real feeling some type of way, and you guessed it, they bang.
Well, now coming in after that, Dan, was really good.
Yeah, now that's out of the way. The pair head to a vampire historian to figure out what's really good about the medallion. Celine's been having these flashbacks about the medallion, like the dude from Memento, and it turns out that her father has actually built the secret subterranean sarcophagus that William is imprisoned in. The historian sets up a meeting with some mysterious dude who may or may not know more about it, and Celine and Michael leave. Marcus then shows up and drinks the historian's blood so that he sees dude's memories and learns what happens, and then he leaves too.
All right. Now, I mean, Nico, what is really, really good here, though?
Not a lot, but at the same time, so very much. Celine and Michael meet up with the mystery man, who turns out to be Alexander the Great from Macedonia. No, it's Alexander Corvinus. Could you imagine? This movie would be so much fucking cooler. Marcus arrives and attempts to 1v1 him with no items, but Marcus cheats and uses the stage, impaling Michael and killing him with massive air quotes. Celine then goes to try and help Michael, but Marcus drinks her blood, unlocking her latent childhood memories.
What's wrong? Keep reading. It makes sense.
Does it?
I want to read that one again for y'all. We're not getting rid of that. We're reading this one twice, folks. Marcus drinks her blood, unlocking her latent childhood memories. So he learns the location of his brother's secret subterranean sarcophagus. Celine then tries to see if Michael is okay, but he's non-responsive to her attempts to add blood to the gaping hole where his stomach used to be. And we're going to talk about that later. Boy, howdy. Marcus then patricides the brakes out of his father, but Alexander does manage to stay alive long enough to let Celine suck some of his blood. He's also like really chill the whole time.
Yeah.
He's just like, it's fine. He's not like, agonized or anything. He's just like, oh, all right, I'm over here now. Cool.
Well, as always, we need a hero. We need Dan.
I need
What happens at the end of this?
I am here. Celine takes Michael's corpse in a helicopter along with some soldier dudes, and they go to stop Marcus from freeing his brother William from the secret subterranean sarcophagus. Too late, it already happened. And William starts turning all the soldiers into werewolves as well. Celine starts to fight him, but she is outnumbered. Luckily, Michael was just healing mad slow, so he finally gets his ass up and jumps into the fray like Justin into a volcano.
Real ones know.
Together, he and Celine, Michael, not Justin, though I'm sure he wishes he was there with Celine, murderate Marcus and William and head towards the future together. The end.
Which is now the past for us, you see, because this came out in 2006.
Yes, thank you, Nico. That is, in fact, exactly what I was trying to get at there.
But unfortunately, it's also our future because we're going to talk more about it. And this present is my hell.
Well, since it is Nico, I'll go ahead and give you first roll of the die here. How does this movie look?
It looks even more like a 2000s horror movie than the first one, which makes sense because there were more of the years that have gone by, It is so dark and blue and gloomy, and everyone's wearing black, usually some flavor of leather or, like, in Celine's case, just like I think straight up fetish wear at this point. Like, where is she keeping all of her bullets? She always goes to reload, and magazines or clips or whatever, I don't fucking know, at me nerds. They just magically fucking appear. Like, from where? From when? Where did they come from? Where did they go? Where did they go to? Dan Balaside Joe.
I mean, before Dan comes in here, I do want to say one thing. Maybe she gets them when she walks over the corpses of her enemies. She picks them up.
Like a fucking video game.
Absorbs them.
Okay, well, let's think about it logically, right? Well, there's something very special about this cat suit. And I'll go ahead and say it now. I don't mean to take Dan's spotlight here. I agree with a lot of what you said, Nico. It still has a lot of the aesthetic from the previous movie. I think there's a little bit less leather only by the fact that there are so many fewer actors in this one.
Yeah.
And characters as opposed to the previous. Because before you had a whole vampire clan, they had a little EDM breakdown or something like that, industrial music breakdown in the vampire mansion. Well, the vampire mansion's burned down now, so I guess no more fun times there.
Because that's in the past.
Yeah. There's some interesting choices they took with some of the wardrobe stuff.
There's some interesting choices in a lot of this movie.
So Celine's catsuit, for lack of a better word, it has zippers in the front and in the back. Now that's just silly from a design perspective, because when they're having the whole sexy times, he unzips the back and then she's got a zipper coming down the front. And I'm like, wait a second. Whoa. You have a zipper coming down the front and the back? Who does that?
All right, Justin, you can't talk about this fucking knife fork cutting thing when you're debating the fashion choices of zippers.
We'll get to that, Dan, and I hope you really show your American patriotism there.
Oh, I will.
But I will also say the one thing that was very interesting to me, for some reason, Celine's, she had gloves. And when the sunlight hit her hand, her gloves started to burn and evaporate.
I don't think that's how gloves do.
I was so confused.
Are the gloves made of vampire?
Yep.
That was what I took it as. Bonner said they must have been made of vampire skin, which
Which is hardcore as shit.
Brutal, yeah.
I don't know. But Dan, what'd you have to say about the looks of this one?
Yeah, I think I kind of said something similar on the first one, but this looks like a mid-2000s horror, action, thriller, whatever movie.
Yep.
And I think you guys have pretty much said all the rest.
Well, then why don't you go ahead and take a fresh stab at how this movie sounds?
I don't remember this music being as bumping as the original.
No.
Yeah.
Because the original soundtrack was really good.
Yeah.
This one, I kind of don't even really remember the soundtrack, to be honest. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it just didn't stand out like the first one.
Well, per IMDb, so far, as of the second movie in the series, this is the only one to have a different, I believe, like composer or sound director or something like that than the first one.
Shut the
So out of two, this is the only one that didn't have that guy in it. So maybe that's why. Maybe that's why.
You're right. You're right.
Nico, any musical thoughts from you?
I truly don't have anything to add here, so I'm actually going to take a step back towards visuals, I guess. I don't know where else this would go. Like, I didn't think the editing was very good in this film. I really thought that it was scatterbrained at best, and it wasn't as bad as 13 Ghosts was, but it was approaching that zenith with much more power in that engine than I was expecting. And like, there was one particular moment where there was a lack of narrative continuity that I thought was hysterical at the beginning of the movie, where they're getting into a car or something, Celine and Michael, and a werewolf goes and runs onto the car, like leaps off the roof of the car.
I noticed this part too.
And there's a huge fucking dent in the roof that like splits down between. It's like, oh, that almost stabbed me, or like whatever. And then a second later, that shit's fine. The roof's good. No problems whatsoever.
Okay, well, that was a vampire car, first off.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Car made out of vampire here.
I mean, you are right. You are right. And it's funny because the movie almost feels like it's clever because, and we can just dive into it right now, starting with the plot. So the movie goes out of its way to show Celine regenerating, and she's like, it's not a big deal. Like when she's been hurt. And this movie kind of takes a lot of the concepts from the first one that were already played kind of fast and loose to a new height. I mean,
faster
you've got
and looser,
flashbacks,
if you will.
You've got family lineage. In the first movie, it seemed like Celine's parents were just killed kind of rando-like, but in reality, her father was like the architect of this secret subterranean sarcophagus that, William was in. And it's just like, whoa, sometimes you got to like slow down, pull out like a spreadsheet and start mapping out some of these relationships because I don't know. I think for a movie like this, there's a way to handle like complex plots and stuff like that, particularly with like vampires and vampire nobility and whatnot. But I don't know. For me, the plot was a little convoluted, just a bit. And they also lie to you at times because I hate to say it, but like literally when, I'll never forget this, Marcus shows up, fights Michael. Michael looks at Celine and goes, is he a hybrid? And Celine goes, yes. She literally confirms that he's a hybrid. And then not even 10 minutes later, she goes, Michael, you're unique. You're the only hybrid there's ever been. Your power could be limitless.
Yeah, I don't think Marcus was a hybrid though.
I don't know why they said he was. He's literally not. He can't even go outside in the sunlight, which is like a confirmed power of hybrids.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's really good with that. But I don't know. It gets kind of confusing too because Celine drinks Marcus's dad's blood. And then at the end, we see that she can like walk in the sun and shit like that. But then Marcus doesn't drink his father's blood, even though he has the chance to, and doing so would make him more powerful. But he just doesn't. And I don't know why.
Maybe he just doesn't want to drink his own dad's blood.
Pussy.
I don't want to drink my dad's blood.
I mean, I don't want to do a lot of stuff this movie did. But I'm going to ask you anyways, Dan. What's your thoughts on the plot?
I kind of thought the plot was pretty weak. Not that I was expecting it to be like a really solid plot necessarily, but it was about halfway through the movie, and I was like, "What's the objective of it? Like, what are they trying to do? Like, they're just running away."
Like
And
one of
that's
my
it.
fucking administrators walking into my class. Oh, yes. What's the objective? What's the learning target here?
Yeah, I mean, it was like they were just doing things, and there was no reason for them to do things. And then, like the second half, okay, we start to get the like unravel the mystery of the history, I guess. But it was kind of like
Nice.
it's not even all that important. I feel like in the like, why? Just keep running away from Marcus, and you're good. That's it.
They never tried garlic.
No, they tried guns.
They tried guns many times, yes.
That's the name of this episode, Guns, not Garlic. But I also want to say one thing real quick, which is the original plan was that Celine was going to go back to the mansion and tell Marcus what had happened. And Marcus might be able to like fix all this because he's like literally the first vampire.
Yeah.
But Marcus wakes up because some blood had leaked into his tomb or whatever that he was sleeping in. So he woke up mad aggro, and then he like kills everyone, and then he immediately goes after Celine. And then you find out that that's because he really wanted to like help his brother. But what would he have done? Like they made it seem like everything was chill in the first movie. Like they gave no inclination that Marcus had this like huge backstory. Because even when they woke up Victor instead of Marcus in the first one, Victor was like, "Why the fuck did you wake me up? It's Marcus's turn."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know about all that.
I also like when Celine and Michael meet up with the historian dude, and he's like, "You've been lied to this whole time. Victor was not the original vampire." And Celine goes, "Oh, so the legend was true. Wait, so you weren't lied to this whole time. If the legend said..." What?
wait, hold
Apparently everybody knew Marcus was the original vampire, not Victor.
So that's not a legend. That's just like common knowledge.
I imagine Marcus was just like, "Yo, just so you guys know, I'm the first vampire." Goes to sleep, and all of a sudden they're like, "Did you hear the legend that Marcus might be the first vampire?" I just imagine Marcus waking up like 500 years later, and he's like, "What the fuck? It's not a legend. I told you this." So
And then he gets lessons from DJ Khaled in this coming of age story. Directed by J.J. Abrams.
and while that might be a better plot than this movie, I want to talk about the first one. How does this line up with the first?
It's not as good.
I'd have to agree.
It's not as good. This one feels... I've been struggling with where I would think to place this idea that's been sort of just like percolating in my old mind palace here for a minute. When they've been trying to make the scenes cooler and like more dynamic, and the stuff they do with Celine, where it's like, "Oh, you drink my blood, you will become a new breed," or whatever the fuck it is he says. It's not like she really gets any new abilities. It's just like everyone starts to suck a lot more. And I feel like that's what this movie is. It just like took the ideas that were in the first one and just did what if this but bad?
I feel like the werewolves from the first movie would beat the werewolves from this movie's ass.
Beat the fucking brakes off, yeah.
Because
We got this one ginger snaps looking motherfucker over here at the end of the movie, but then they're like nothing.
yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we straight up forgot like several massive, not us, but the movie, forgot several massive plot elements from the first. Namely, the vampires and the werewolves had specialized ammo types.
Yeah.
The vampires all had like bullets with like silver nitrate or some shit. And the werewolves all had UV bullets. Now, these UV bullets are shown to be extremely effective. They literally kill Amelia, who's an elder, with these UV bullets. Yet no one shoots fucking Marcus with a UV bullet. Like, Celine literally grabs a gun of UV bullets, but it's not there in the next scene. Like, she's loading up her AK or whatever, and like the bullets are glowing like UV because the historian had a secret stash of them. But then, like, I don't know. Also, the historian had a stash of UV bullets and didn't shoot Marcus. I want to point that out as well.
Yeah, why was he afraid of him, like, at all?
Like, he was stacked, but also past that too, like, okay, Celine, you don't have the UV bullets, but you have the other ones, right, for killing werewolves because you're a death dealer. So why are your bullets not effective against werewolves either? Why can werewolves now be killed by snapping their neck? And why did you think getting stabbed by a fucking rusty steel pipe was going to kill a fucking hybrid?
I mean, he definitely looked dead.
But why? Why would that? We are given specific
I don't
rules.
think that was rusty steel pipe, though. I think that was wooden.
Was it wooden?
It was wood because it was part of the pier or whatever. So I was thinking, like, is this their version of being staked through the heart?
I can actually accept that.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, apparently not, or it just isn't effective because he's alive.
I think we are currently giving the movie more thought than the movie gave itself.
Probably.
Now, I want to ask this, and it's been a minute since we asked this question on the pod, and I did not think I was going to be asking it about this movie. Is this really horror? Or is it horror adjacent?
I feel like it's horror adjacent, not even because of the aesthetic, but just because of its relation to the first movie, which was already, I think, it was definitely more horrific than this one for sure. But like the sequel here is significantly more action packed and like rootin' tootin' gun shooting than scary spooky things in the night, regardless of the fact that this is a vampires versus werewolves movie.
Fair. Dan, what's your take?
I pretty much agree with Nico. I think it's an action movie through and through that is skinned in a horror setting or whatever. Personally, though, I'm going to say it's horror adjacent, but like I think it's included in the horror sphere because I have kind of a loose definition of horror.
Yeah.
But I can totally see people not considering it horror or anything because it's kind of not. So, yeah.
That is definitely true, and I'm pretty much right there with you. Literally, in this movie in particular, you could swap out werewolves for like some ancient clan that has a blood feud with some other clan.
Teletubbies.
Maybe. And they're all shooting each other with guns and shit. But like,
Yo, are there Teletubby horror movies?
I'm sure
Probably somebody's made one.
after the Winnie the Pooh horror movie that's about to drop
Yeah, right. I think I read that they're planning a sequel too.
already
Yeah.
to Blood and Honey, my God.
Oh, wait. Or I don't. No, maybe not. But it is getting a theatrical release.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we got to go see that. We have to go see that.
Absolutely.
And I want to ask one more thing real quick. So to take it back to that scene where Celine gives some of her blood to Michael by like dripping it into his chest wound, I knew that was going to work because there's a lot of ancient vampire texts that I've gone through that, you know, I've seen.
Ancient text that I'm sure the movie was adhering to very intentionally. They had a fucking, like, they had a guy on staff for this shit. Oh, let me call my vampirologist.
Hey, listen. But I do want to say, Dan, did you think that was going to work?
No, and I'm still not convinced it did work.
Okay.
And I only say that because we don't know if that, I mean, maybe dude was just healing. And maybe it was pointless. I mean,
That is fair.
he doesn't come back to life until like 30 minutes later in the movie. So maybe it just wasn't effective.
And it also seems just like, in terms of the pacing of it, that it was prompted by nothing. It's just, I forget where it's happening, but literally in the middle, this is why I'm saying the editing's not good in this movie. This is in the middle of some other pivotal this is what you sound like to other people, Justin. Yeah. Anyway, wow, I literally forgot what I was going to say. God damn it. My fucking Lord.
So I want to ask, In terms of a plot element, the resurrection of Michael, for lack of a better word, and his ride to Celine's aid, is that a cool moment? Is it a whack moment? Or is it a combination of both? A cuck moment?
Oh no. Oh no. No, 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 no.
I feel like it would have been a cack moment.
Well, he already gave her the cack, so now we got the cuck left.
Shut the fuck up. Why do I make a podcast with you?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All right. I'm 5. But no, so seriously, what kind of moment was that?
It was whack as hell. It was so fucking whack. I feel like it invalidates a lot of the ground that they were trying to establish for this movie to have any kind of depth. Like, they already, Michael and Celine, didn't have a lot of chemistry, but I feel like it could have been a moment where Celine has some actual, like, turbo vengeance and she gets this, super strength beyond what she already has and becomes like, goes, I don't know, Super Saiyan vampire on these motherfuckers, but it's a lot less anticlimactic than that. Akira Toriyama should have directed this, is what I'm saying.
Oh, I thought J.J. Abrams should have.
Also, it's going to be a collab situation. You'll see.
Okay, okay. But Dan, I mean, where do you side on this fence?
I do kind of agree with Nico. I think that it kind of cheapens and weakens Celine's character. I don't know. I feel like she's like the badass, female lead heroine, kind of thing. And then at the end,
Death dealer.
Yeah, she's a fucking death dealer. But at the end, like, she can't kill werewolves that she's been killing like for centuries. And then she has to be saved by the man who's like already dead, who just comes back to life, The only part that I did like about that was he rips William's head in half, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Pac-Man's that motherfucker.
I'll say this. I thought it was kind of a cool moment, but I'll explain it in 3 ways. First, there was a biblical sign that he was actually going to come back because he kind of halfway gets crucified because they like nail or like gets his arm like shoved through like a thing, and it was kind of reminiscent of that. So I was like, yo, this man's about to like Jesus Christ the situation right here. But second point, though, is Celine is a death dealer and she's mad powerful, but in keeping with the power levels of the lore, like, yeah, she's a death dealer, but that's like the first werewolf and the first vampire. And like the older you are, the stronger you are. So it's like, it's no way she was going to be able to take on 2 of them by herself. Like that just wasn't in the realm of possibility.
She's also like way fucking older than Michael is.
Oh.
And also she drank the blood of the absolute oldest one who gave birth to all of these people.
Well, remember, this movie completely ignores the trope of you getting stronger if you drink like the older vampire's blood. This movie has ignored that entirely.
No, that was the whole point of her drinking the blood.
No, remember, she had already drank the blood of Victor, I think it was. She had already drank his blood and gotten no stronger from where she was before that. So I did not expect her to get any stronger from drinking the old dude's blood. She should have. But like Nico said, it's not like she got stronger. Everyone else just kind of sucked more. Secondly, though, these werewolves were also like first generation werewolves. Okay, it's confusing because they're not as good as the modern ones, but they're more ferocious. And to me, that's kind of like when you try really fucking hard, but you still suck. It's like, all right, bro, like your ferociousness is not going to add points to the scoreboard here.
Ferociousness, more like atrociousness.
Yeah, fair enough. So I didn't necessarily have a problem with him coming back to help. And I did like the fact that she did get a really badass kill on Marcus. She chopped that man with the helicopter blade.
That was pretty sweet, I'm not going to lie.
That helicopter scene was cool. I'm not going to lie. I was like, this is like, my brain knows this is kind of dumb. But this is just pretty fucking cool, though.
Yeah.
That's what this movie needs to be. It needs to be that. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I wanted more scenes with her like shooting her pistol in a circle and going down like 3 floors in a building or something. Like, that's the type of shit I wanted to see from this movie.
Yeah.
Like, don't take yourself so serious. And I think that's my main problem with it. But that being said, let's go ahead now and talk through the what would you do. So in the what would you do, I'm going to ask you, if you had a choice, let's say that, you know, it was going to be the three of us and we're like, yo, we got to go up against some elders, as it was, a werewolf and a vampire.
Bet. Oh.
I mean, yeah, the three of us have got some elders. How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? I mean, in a battle, would you rather be a werewolf or a vampire in this universe?
This universe? Well, which movie? First movie or second movie?
Good question. Fuck.
Vampire. I mean, werewolves suck in this movie.
Fair.
I think I would have to agree, yeah. And plus, there's some moments in this movie when they're transforming where it looks like... Y'all remember the fucking covers of the Animorphs books?
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a few scenes that look like those covers. And vampires don't gotta go through with that shit.
I feel like I still can't get over this movie's, like, classism when it comes to vampires versus werewolves. Because they always push that fucking narrative of, like, the vampires are the nobles, the werewolves, such dogged, dirty creatures. And I'm like, why? Why? Like, you're telling me, oh, when the werewolves were born, they could not control themselves. But the vampires could. They just came out perfect.
Yeah.
Man, fuck y'all. So,
Wait, which ones in the first movie could not see in the dark?
vampires. And they still can't.
Vampires.
There's a point in this movie where Michael puts Celine in a fucking dark closet so she can be protected from the light. Yo, and I mean this so respectfully. This chick cracks a fucking glow stick and holds it up so she can see the room. I turned and was like, what the fuck does this movie have against vampires being able to see in the dark? Why is that so wrong to you? Why is that so critically wrong?
You know what I also thought was funny about that scene? He's trying to like save her and like block out the sun. So he takes like a bunch of cans of paint and like splashes it
splashes
over
them.
the window. And instead just puts her in a storage locker. And not the room where he spent all that time covering. Couldn't you just put her in the storage locker in the first place?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's really it. What would you do? I wouldn't make this movie. But, well, now let's really talk about this critic review. And oh boy. Oh boy. So, guess. What did critics give this movie on Rotten Tomatoes?
36.
I'm gonna go exactly half of that, 18.
Nico wins. This got a 17% on Rotten Tomatoes from the critics. Yes, I know, aggregator. I know. But the audience could not have taken a different viewpoint. This got a 72% from the audience. So, yeah, I mean, where's this one really at? Where's it really at? Well, I think it's for us to decide. What would you give this movie? And why?
So for me, and I think Nico or Justin kind of touched on it earlier, is like the first movie didn't make much sense. And I think we had said in our review, like, just don't think about it and enjoy the movie. And I wanted more of that. Like, I wasn't expecting the movie to make a whole lot of sense because it's Underworld, but there wasn't enough just like fun, cool shit. And I just wanted more of that. Like, it was and the lack of cool, fun shit to me made all the errors and the what the fucks worse, you know? I'm going to give it a 40. I didn't think it was terrible, but it didn't really have a whole lot of redeeming qualities to me.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you, to be honest. I think that there's a couple levels that you are as a movie. And I think the first thing that a movie has to be before it's anything else is enjoyable. And I think that this movie wasn't really enjoyable because the plot and the plotting dialogue just got it so layered down. There's a scene where Celine is speaking French that serves not a fucking purpose. It is pointless, entirely pointless for Celine to be speaking French. It does nothing but slow down the pacing. And there are too many scenes like that in this movie. There's too little that matters, too little memorable characters. The first movie had a ton of cool characters. There was a lot going on. There were people in the movie. And in this one, the tangled web they wove was just not enough to keep me entertained. Now, that being said, I don't think really any of the actors are at fault. I think they all played their roles pretty well. I think that not just simping for her, but I think Kate Beckinsale literally played the role that she was given to a T. I really do believe her as Celine always. So that being said, I'm a little more generous than Dan, but I'm going to give this one a 52.
Yeah, I really just didn't have as much fun with this one, which is disappointing because I remember liking this franchise a lot more when I was younger. And now I'm older and jaded and dead inside. So I'm going to give this one a 29.
Nah, I'm going to say obligatory fuck you. This movie is not worse than Ghost Stories. But
Hey, man, I didn't rate it. I mean, sorry, I'm not your fuck off, whatever. I don't know.
that being said, I will tell you all to keep hope for the third one is way better. I'll just say that right now. But
I believe it.
it's time for us to roll up the kebab of our thoughts into the gyro of,
When's the last time you rolled a kebab, bro?
you never had kebab rolls? See, now you doubting yourself and me because you don't know if kebab rolls is a thing. Can you be culturally offensive as to tell me they're not a thing? I don't know.
Nah, because that's not the way you said it. You said like you rolled a kebab.
Yeah, I rolled a kebab in the gyro of our recommendation.
Huh.
While Nico Taziki's a second to think about that,
Wow.
I'm going to say that I don't recommend this movie, unfortunately.
He needs a minute.
Oh!
Fuck off.
That's a classic.
He's as I scroll through my mind palace, names of Greek food. This movie kind of moussaka. So I'm
Wow.
gonna say no.
Dan, would you have recommended this one either?
My recommendation would be to just rewatch the first one instead.
Yeah.
So no, I wouldn't.
Well, you heard it Hummus here on the podcast.
Well
this one
done.
is not going to get a recommendation. And we're also going to stop talking about food now. So if you like what you've heard, if you've got more food puns, or if you're a big fan of this movie and just want to let us know we're wrong, hit us up. We're on Twitter and Instagram at DOTD Horror. We're also on Facebook. That's Don't Open That Door. Plus, you can check out everything we've done on our website, which is, of course, dotdhorror.com. But till then, take care of one another. Stay out of the sunlight if you're a vampire. And as always, dear listener, don't open that door. Bye.